to give a big word of thanks to Dr. Mai Tamimi, as well as to Councillor Marie Laufiso and to Andrew Tate for the opportunity to speak up here today. I'd also like to thank the three of you for your leadership these past 3 months. I think I speak for everyone here in saying that your example shows the best side in humanity, so thank you all. So who the hell am I anyway? My name is Neve, and I am a 22-year-old non-binary PPE graduate who's currently wasting their life away at North Dunedin KFC selling heart attacks for $20 a box. I'm a proud queer person, aspiring author, and leftist. I have watched in paralysed horror as Israel has unleashed its campaign of slaughter upon the people of Palestine. Seeing the images of wailing children amidst the blood-stained rubble, of prisoners stripped down to their underwear and paraded through the streets by the IDF, of hundreds of starving people desperately crowding around a single aid truck for whatever meagre scraps of food they can find, and knowing that this suffering continues even as I stand here speaking, has left so many, including myself, feeling hollow and sick. And rightly so. What is happening in Gaza right now can be directly compared to the crimes of the fascist governments of the 20th century, to the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Now I could ask, how did it come to this? But I feel that question has been answered plenty of times by people more articulate than me. So instead I ask, what comes next? Well, I hate to be the bringer of bad news. If nothing changes, things can get worse. So much worse. I know we don't like to think about it, but with the rise of the global far right, we as a species once again find ourselves staring into the abyss of fascism. We've just entered a new year, 2024. This is a global election year across most of the world's countries. But most importantly, it will mark the next United States presidential election. Incumbent Joe Biden is set to have a rematch with everyone's least favourite, orange-faced, election-denying buffoon, Donald Trump. I know everyone's tired about hearing about this guy, believe me. But I ask all of you to keep listening. Trump has made his intentions horrifically clear. He intends to put the final nail in the coffin of US democracy and turn the United States of America into a fascist dictatorship. Now that's a claim, right? How can I possibly prove it? Well, keep listening. For one, Trump has promised to invoke the Insurrection Act, day one of his next presidency, which would deploy the United States military to the streets of America to violently crush all opposition. Furthermore, he has promised to, quote, root out the Marxists, the communists, the fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country. Aside from being a blatant indication that he intends to destroy his political enemies, the use of the word vermin there is a direct Hitler quote. Furthermore, he has also said that immigrants, quote, poison the blood of our country. Another Hitlerism. He has said that he is the vengeance and the retribution of his voters, and that he will, quote, suspend the Constitution of the United States day one, should he come to power again. This is the rhetoric of a dictator in waiting. Rhetoric that has been echoed by some of history's worst tyrants. And maybe this isn't enough for some of you. To which I respond, you haven't seen the real smoking gun yet. Trump plans to implement Project 2025 should he win this year. Sounds ominous, right? Project 2025 is a far-right document outlining a plan to remold United States society into a Christian nationalist image. It plans to purge US government agencies of current workers and replace them all with Trump loyalists, to expand the powers of the executive branch of government, which would effectively legally make Trump a dictator, and to finally rid the USA of the LGBTQ+ community, of immigrants, of homeless people, of Muslims, of women's equality. Long story short, the Republican Party has a concrete plan to remold US society into a totalitarian, outright fascist shadow of its former self. Imagine that. The world's most powerful country in the history of our species falling into the darkness of fascism. The consequences would be felt worldwide. I bring this up because Gaza sits at the center of Trump's chances. President Biden's craven and frankly pathetic response to the genocide has, rightfully, seen a mass exodus of support away from the president, something that could cost him the 2024 election. For that reason, all of you here, you guys who I'm looking at right now, must keep up the pressure on our representatives, must keep up the pressure to implore Biden to change course. For if fascism prevails in the United States, it will only be a matter of time before its tendrils reach out to strangle us too. Keep listening. We're seeing it already with our new government. The charlatan Winston Peters, a populist in the Trumpian style, already stokes the fires of the far right. His attack on the legitimacy of the media, his courting of conspiracy theorists, and his election strategy, and now governing strategy, of stirring up the pot of anti-transgender paranoia are all the first steps along the long road to authoritarianism. Steps that Trump took years ago. And here we are now. So what am I asking of you all today? What can you do to fight the resurgence of fascism? First things first, remember who stands beside you. Remember that their struggle is yours too. That when they suffer, you suffer too. And that when they feel joy, you feel joy too. It's become something of a cliche at these rallies, and for good reason, but solidarity and empathy is what we need. Because from Palestine to Washington, from Kiev to Khartoum, from the streets of Dunedin to the rubble of Gaza, we must remember that we are all one people, the human species. We might have different colours, different nationalities, different sexualities and genders, but we are all human. And as humanity, we have the same interests worldwide: to end human suffering, to end inequality, and to end injustice. Gaza is the front line in this struggle against human suffering, and so Gaza is the fate of us all. So I implore you all, keep fighting. Fight for a ceasefire. Fight to the end of occupation and apartheid. Fight the hydra of tyranny wherever it rears one of its ugly heads, whether that be in Washington or Wellington. Be stubborn. And remember that we are all in this together. We cannot fall for the lies of demagogues, for the scapegoating that seeks to tear us apart. We must stand united as working people, as queer people, as cis and straight people, as Kiwis, as Jews, as Palestinians, as humans. So keep up the good work, all of you. Keep up the pressure, for the stakes could not be higher. Thank you all for listening. Solidarity and free Palestine.